Thank you. This is so exciting. Just like every talk here was inspiring, each in a different way. And it's gotten me thinking about the work that I do. So I'm a neuroscientist. I study emotions in the brain. And recently I've become interested in the neural pathways to resilience and all the different strategies that we have, the positive psychology strategies, but also the more traditional behavioral and cognitive strategies, basically all these non-invasive, non-pharmaceutical types of strategies that we can all implement to improve our daily lives. What are the common neural pathways underlying these strategies? And some of it was covered in an earlier session, the default mode network, how it gets reduced when awe is induced. And so we end up ruminating less, maybe thinking less about our own internal state, about our worries of the past and worries of the future and concerns about the past and all that. And many other strategies do this too, like mindfulness gets us there. Being in a state of flow does that. Exposure to nature seems to take us there as well. And so as I was listening to Emiliana's work, but also Susan's and Jeff, yours too, it occurred to me, I guess this is this part that was a little surprising maybe, or I've thought about it before, but maybe not quite in this way, which is a lot of these different strategies, including maybe even cognitive reappraisal that you alluded to, Jeff, that maybe in some way awe is tapping into each of these. So it's like maybe awe can help you have a greater sense of purpose by broadening your perspective. And opening your mind to other possibilities. It seems to bring about a state of mindfulness as well, brings you in the moment more. Also maybe increases gratitude. So that's another strategy that we can practice. And also because it reduces this internal mental chatter, it frees up our the cognitive parts of the brain, the effortful thinking part, the parts that we need in order to regulate our emotions more willfully, the cognitive reappraisal being an example. So it seems like with this one strategy of awe, we can have this multiple gateways to resilience. We can kind of maybe boost a little bit of all these other strategies and recruit those in as well. So that was something I want to maybe think more about, and I'll see what you guys think about. But also something Emiliana said specifically that really was a takeaway from me was this idea of having a diversified portfolio. And I guess what I said kind of contributes to that, is part of that as well. Like you're diversifying all the different ways you can boost resilience, but also in the sense of broadening our awareness of the world, and also our understanding of ourselves, the narratives that we say about our experiences. So all of that fits under this wonderful term, diversified portfolio. And just another takeaway from me was the importance of physically writing the thing. Like you can sit there and think about your past experience, but once you put it to paper, it brings out more detail. And I think someone in the chat box also commented that this kind of narrative brings coherence to the experience, which is so true. And yeah, I mean, there's so much to talk about, and I can just leave it open. You guys can pick maybe what you want to comment on. But the last thing maybe I was going to touch base about was, I think Susan mentioned that different strategies work for different people. So you might want to explore. So I wondered if you had tips for the audience on how best we can tailor intervention to each individual person. Like what are the best ways? Just trial and error, or I don't know if there were other ways to think about it.
Yeah, honestly, my answer would definitely be trial and error. I wish that I could say this is the one that works best for, this person or this person, but which we are trying to get more research into different populations, different cultures, see if there is any sort of trends. But at this time, I would say, and for me too, because trying out these strategies, sometimes I try something out and I'm like, that did not work for me whatsoever. And other times I adapt my own strategy. I didn't list this because I've not scientifically tested it, but actually my favorite way to feel awe at home is to just go upside down somewhere, like go on my couch and I'll just go upside down. And then suddenly my ceiling looks different, my plants look different. Everything kind of gives a chance to like excite and inspire me in that way. But I really say it's just individual difference. And maybe one day we'll have more answers, and maybe Emiliana has some more thoughts on that. But if you know you're a visual person, then maybe a video. If you know you like going for walks, maybe you know the walk is right for you. Writing down is definitely a strong motivator of the experience. Even with like taking pictures, writing down a little bit can make a big difference on that impact. So I would say trial and error.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, no, Susan, I think you really summarized the state of the scholarly literature on positive psychology practices, and all is just one of many on the list. There are several teams, and I'm lucky enough to be on one of them that's working on this very question. And thankfully, we now have easier ways to gather data from really large samples. Right now at the Greater Good Science Center, we're running a project trying to understand patterns of impact and engagement with various positive psychology practices, including the Awe ones that we've covered today. So the Awe pictures, the Awe video, the Awe walk, the Awe writing, the Awe reading, they're all on the list. And essentially we're just inviting as many people, and anybody here who's interested should consider it available to them. You're invited also to participate in what we're calling the Pathway to Happiness. And basically it's a little experience. You sign up, and then every week we give you a different practice. We ask you how it went. We ask you how good it, how natural it felt, how easy it was to do. Sometimes the things that feel really natural are people do them more, but they're less impactful. Sometimes the things that are more challenging, that feel a little bit outside of our comfort zone, are the ones that are the most impactful. Sometimes that depends on your personality. So this is really the frontier, trying to understand how to tailor practices to be most impactful, and also increase or maximize the likelihood of engagement for individuals based on their person, their context, their geographical location, their culture, how old they are, what kind of profession, whether they're married and have kids or not. There are so many different variables that seem to be potentially important in helping us understand what's best. For now, yeah, you have to be your own kind of scientist and try something and just really pay attention to how it feels and whether it changes something for you, and do it more if it does. And if it doesn't, try something different. There's lucky part is there are so many different things to try.
Yeah, and that's just it. I think as diverse as there are potential ways to elicit awe, it's also equally, if not more, diverse based on the individual's experience and also the context and timing, because something that works today or in this part of our lives works, it might not have worked 10 years ago. And it's that idea of being just allowing yourself the opportunity to experience it. It sounds like what you're saying.